Sustainability is often a confused topic and a confused term, and also references sustainability as a business model. I've never seen it as a business model, so that's news to me. In fact, many of the things that many of us read, particularly starting, not necessarily starting, but gelling around 1992, particularly in Rio, is a little different view in terms of just purely a business conference. So,
some people it was.
Yeah, what we'd like to do is have Gregg, Gregg Juster, I don't know if you know Gregg, but Gregg has been on the radio, I think at the same time that you were on.
I saw Gregg.
Yeah.
That's where he was.
And Gregg and Nancy have spent quite a bit of time investigating, researching, presenting, discussing with city officials and so forth, as well as our meeting, the whole issue of sustainability. So we'd like to take just a few minutes for Gregg to present a few counterpoints or other perspective on this, and then open it up for some questions, okay? So Gregg, here you go.
First of all, I want to thank you for coming. Are you passing out the cards? Pass out those cards so we have some questions. If you have a question that you want to ask. Like Mark, I put together a little presentation. I don't know if I want to, I'll give a little bit of it if my computer starts. Okay. But it was a nice presentation. And let me tell you about energy savings. You know, I'm a big conservative guy, as most people are in this room. Everybody thinks we don't really care about the environment or we waste things. In 1974, the very first fluorescent lighting fixtures to replace incandescent lighting fixtures came out. That was me. Me and a couple other guys started a couple of companies to save energy, because you replace a 60-watt light bulb with an 8-watt light bulb. You save energy. All four of that. A lot of good ideas that you gave up in there. But you passed up something I thought, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this, you went through a lot of slides real quick. When you were talking about CCAP, the Chattanooga Climate Action Plan, it didn't say the Chattanooga Sustainability Plan, it said the Chattanooga Climate Action Plan. Here's where we got a difference. Here's what we got a problem with. And as soon as this comes up,
Greg, could I just tell you that I didn't do that plan, and what I said was, I'm changing the new plan to sustainability because climate is too warm.
well, climate is, I'm sorry, I can't say what I think about climate and the climate change and everything else, because we had a mixed company and my wife is here, so I have to be very careful what I say. But we didn't discuss what implementing that plan. That was the whole concept of the sustainable office. And I'm going to go back, and if my computer was working, you'd see how we could get here. It would do just a quick history. Everybody in this room knows about Agenda 21. I'm sorry, it's UN Local Agenda 21. That is the official name. Of course, they've changed that to sustainable because you can't say Agenda 21 because now we're the nutcases. So when you take our sustainable, there we go. Very quickly, just kind of look at that, kind of talks about how we got here. Rio, the Rio conference was birthed this. ICLEI, which was never mentioned, but we're members of, and they helped write Agenda 21. You go to the EO, which we're going to, go ahead and, has everybody kind of seen that slide? Just kind of read through that real quick, because I don't want to just sit and read. And we'll make this, okay, next, no, I got that plugged in, hit the right. Just hit the right, there we go. And I think this is important, and I'm gonna show why this is important. Anybody here ever heard of Habitat 1? Have you heard of Habitat 1?
I've heard of Habitat 2, so I suppose there was a one.
Okay, Habitat 1, precursor. Go ahead and hit this. And this is why people like ourselves that try and pay attention are so worked up about the word sustainable. Agenda 21, 1976. This is a precursor to sustainable development. Land cannot be treated as an ordinary asset. This is the UN. This is what's driving everything through the U.S. government sustainable office, which we take money from. Guess what? They get to make the rules. It cannot be controlled by individuals and subject to the pressures of and inefficiencies of the market. Private land ownership is also a principal instrument of accumulation and concentration of wealth, and therefore contributes to social injustice. I did see that on one of those slides that went through real quick. If unchecked, it may become a major obstacle in the planning and implementing of development schemes. The provision of decent dwellings and healthy conditions for people can only be achieved if land is used in the interest of the society as a whole. Public control of land use is therefore indispensable. This is what we're fighting. When you have a sustainable office, taking money from a sustainable office in the U.S. government, when you're a member of ICLEI, you are following the rules. Go ahead, switch this. This is the conference that you went to. Again, so you know where we're coming from. This is the guy that ran the conference, Maurice Strong. He's in all sorts of things. Current lifestyles and consumption. This is the guy. This is what's driving what's going on around us. Current lifestyles and consumption patterns of the affluent middle class. I need to stop here. We're them. That's us. Not our betters, not the elitists, not the guys with all their money. Us. Involving high meat consumption. Who's got high meat consumption? Yeah, okay. Large amounts of frozen and convenience foods we use. I don't use much frozen. I can give that one up. Use of fossil fuels. I got a problem with that one. Appliances. My wife has a problem with that one, although I do the cooking. Home and workplace air conditioning, I got a problem with that one. Suburban housing, I don't. You know what? I live the sustainable lifestyle. I live Agenda 21. I live downtown, I walk everywhere, I live stacked and packed, I eat organic, we buy organic food. It's my choice though. A shift is necessary which will require a vast strengthening of the multilateral system, I hate that word, including the United Nations. That was the conference in Rio, 1992, started everything. Everybody in this room is familiar with it. Is there anybody not familiar with ICLEI in this room? We're members. We pay money to it. Next. And here's the problem. You want to be a member of ICLEI, you follow their rules. Global government, environmental change, footprint on Earth. We must act more rapidly and pursue more radical solutions. Who do you think wrote CCAP? Not us, not local people, ICLEI people. More radical solutions. You shouldn't be driving your car. You should not be living in the country. Next. Okay, everybody's seen. I just had to put a picture of Agenda 21. It is real. Next. This is where it gets tricky because Congress, and again, a lot of you already know this. I'm going through it quickly. Congress did not go along, so Bill Clinton, by executive order. Don't we love executive orders to go around the Constitution? Directed all agencies of the federal government to work with state and local community governments in a joint effort to reinvent government using the blueprint outlined in the UN Agenda 21. The Office of Sustainability. What do we have here in Chattanooga? And there's a lot of good work you do. Not knocking everything you do. But we're knocking a lot of it. Outlined in the UN Agenda 21. ICLEI wrote part of Agenda 21. We're members of that. Sustainable development. When you have taken money from the federal government, it never comes without strings attached. Okay, and these are my favorites. What's not, when they talk about sustainable, what's not sustainable, this, and I love Global Biodiversity Assessment Report. You come up with all these names, UNEP. Next slide. What's not sustainable? These are their words. These are the pages that they're on. Population growth, you know this all started with that. Human population density, what's not sustainable? Private property. This is why we fight this. This is why you can't give a little. When you give a little, you said something I thought was very, very apropos. There are some Ron Paul supporters here. There are people, you should look at our face page if you want to know if people when they say the Tea Party is a Ron Paul organization, you need to look at our face page, our Facebook page. But you said something that was very important. He believes everything he says. Whether he's right or wrong, he believes everything he says. So do these people. Next. Okay, I love this slide. I always put this slide in because we're considered the nutcases for showing you their words that they write on their web pages and everything else. Okay. I need a tinfoil hat. We're a member of ICLEI, multilateral negotiating bodies, nothing about the U.S. Constitution. This is where we have problems. This is all going around. You don't get to pick and choose. Goals of ICLEI: shift decision-making from Chattanooga citizens to ICLEI Agenda 21 leadership. Chattanooga Climate Action Plan. I'm going to speak a little bit on this later. 16 county regional plan, right out of the playbook. You guys, right now, we are being inundated by a visioning process that they invite you to come to that you have absolutely no say in. None. Zero. They've already been written. They're written all over the country. I'm going to show you a different plan. Under the heading of Smart Growth, Sustainable Development, rapidly and radically change. They want our full local commitment. It's our sustainability office, encourages endorsement of the Earth Charter. I always have to put, how many of you know about the Earth Charter? I always have to put a little bit of this because this is one of the hidden organizations. It's run by Mikhail Gorbachev and that guy Maurice Strong. They really kind of started it. Next. The benefits of development not shared equitably, and the gap between rich and poor, you can kind of read that. It's the same kind of thing. Before I go further, we're members of ICLEI. We're actually very proud members of ICLEI. I'm going to show you a slide. And it says, adopt Earth Charter principles. Next slide, please. Fundamental changes are needed in our values, institutions, ways of living. We must realize that when basic needs have been met, human development is primarily about being more, not having more. You are going to be told when you've had enough. You can drive so far. You have to have a car that gets 3,000 miles per gallon. You got to drive one of those Bolts. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't go visit anybody. I can only drive it around downtown. It doesn't go very far. And if I turn on the air conditioning, I'm really screwed. And when you talk about technological advancement, they built that car 100 years ago. Did the exact same thing. They just didn't charge $47,000 and then take money out of our pocket to give it to the rich guys that bought them. So they look good. We are a star community with ICLEI. I'm going to make a statement that I can't back up, but I'm going to put it out there because I was told this is true. We paid, how much? $25,000. We paid $25,000 for this privilege.
No government money. That was foundation.
Okay. I'm not even going to get into NGOs and foundations and running everything for us. You know, there are good foundations. You talk about chamber. How many of you guys like the Chamber of Commerce? See, you have no fans of the chamber here because, and I'm going to get to a slide that kind of shows this. It's all part of crony capitalism, crony government. Starve will transform climate protection. Not just sustainability, and not about, and again, I agree with you, I own businesses. I got one right now that I'm hoping will sustain. I'm working hard to sustain it. We're part of that. Next. And again, this is why we have a problem. ICLEI, Chattanooga is a member, a very proud member. Individual rights must take a back seat to the collective. Most of you have seen this slide. That's Harvey Rubin, Vice Chair of ICLEI. We got a problem with that because these are the people we're working with. You might want to pick out certain things you like. You don't really get to do that. Next. This is from the ICLEI contract. If we don't perform, or membership, we're out as a member. Obviously, we're performing pretty good. Next. And I just wanted to show a picture of Climate Action Plan. I'm not pulling it through. We're members. We are members of the Chattanooga Climate Action. ICLEI. Next. And I can never, ever do a little speech without my favorite man, the man who has the gore effect. Next. Everything you see is driven by man-made global warming models. And people here know, and I just have to talk just briefly
There is not one prediction that they've made that's come true. You would think they would get one true, but they can't. Here's why. They pick theory over truth. They don't watch. It doesn't matter what's happened. Over the last 10 years, the average temperature of the world has dropped. But they can't talk about that because their theory says that's not true. We've lost all of our ice. And did you know that there's the IPCC, I won't go through who made this, the Arctic will be ice-free by the end of the summer. The Arctic actually has as much ice as it did in 1940 now. Theory over truth driving all of this, or what they're using. ICLEI goal, remember, low carbon and climate neutral cities. I don't want a climate neutral city. It's actually soot, not CO2, that causes most of the problems. And the media doesn't do their job. And unfortunately, I thought there'd be some media here. I'm gonna get on them. You never see anything, but they will print exactly what is sent to them by the global warming side. They don't ever do any checking of numbers. Next. All right, here's the green truth. You don't play the game, you don't get the green. I think it's great that Volkswagen wanted to do LEED. I think it's great when all these companies say, although I don't, if it says green on the label, I try not to buy it.
Me too.
You know, it's just, but you have to play the game. You got to be part of the team. And I'm not just talking about this. You want to do business with the city? You better be part of the team. You better be talking the language if you want to get the money. I love this statement. I couldn't get back on the radio to say what it was. They were talking about climate change. And did you know 97% of all climate scientists believe in man-made global warming? How many of you knew that? It's a statement that's just thrown out there. Nobody ever checks it. And it might be true, but they left part off. 97% of the climate scientists that get their money from the government believe it. Theory over truth. Next. Welcome to the new green bankruptcy. We get very nervous when you talk about the green economy because the green economy is bankrupt. It bankrupted Spain, or is bankrupting them. It's bankrupting Germany. It's bankrupting France. Cost per kilowatt natural gas, 4 cents. The average cost of a green kilowatt, 13 cents plus. Because wind can't be stored. The times you need it, it's not there. It's about 5% efficient. I'm not against clean energy. I'm just against going bankrupt for it. Rates are soaring around the world. ICLEI goal number 7, green urban economy and jobs. Solyndra, anyone? And all the rest of those. Because that's the one that we talk about, but there's more. Go ahead. Sustainability. The actions are an affront to the U.S. Constitution. Our Office of Sustainability, you can't pick and choose. You might be for a while, but you can't. You're taking government money. The U.S. Office of Sustainability just told you, we're going to implement Agenda 21. We are bound by ICLEI and the U.S. government. CCAP, and I didn't put a bunch of slides on it, but the Chattanooga Climate Action Plan confirms a lot of that. Next. End of America. That's what we've all talked about with Agenda 21. It is the end of our way of life. It's why we get nervous about all of it. Next. Okay. So, you know, us Tea Partiers, us radicals, you know, they cause all these problems and we break windows and we do everything, you know, just wait. That wasn't our group, was it? That was the other group, I'm sorry. But we never have any ideas. So I'm going to show you what planning should look like. This is Carroll County, Maryland. This is their vision. Preserves its unique rural agricultural heritage, protects its environmental resources, promotes a balanced approach to new growth, economic opportunities consistent with the character of its communities, county amenities, infrastructure, facilities, contribute to a high quality life. Wait, that sounds just like everybody else, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound like, kind of like the whole green sustainable? Put the next slide up. Our master plan should reflect respect for the Constitution, respect for the free markets, respect for the individual rights of Carroll County citizens to plot their own course without mandates that seek to alter or end lifestyles and individual choices that make Carroll a special place to live. Next slide, please. Carroll County's values and its citizens' unalienable rights of life, liberty, and property are respected, protected, sustained. That's a sustainable development policy we can get behind. One more. They don't call it sustainable growth, respectful growth. Smart growth, love another word, smart growth. One size fits all template. Respectful growth recognizes the individuality of the counties, towns, the preferences of citizens in a free society and enables them to live in a way that preserves the fabric of their communities. They know everybody doesn't want to live stacked and packed. I do, I like it. I don't want to live out in the country. I like living downtown. My choice. That's what, when we talk about the 16 county, regional counties, you won't see any of that. I'm sorry, property rights, no. That's not what it's about. It's about telling us how we're going to live. We're all for working together with the cities around us. We're all for planning. We're all for your idea. You know what? The idea is if you could save money on wastewater, because you're right, most people in this room and in this city have no idea the 5,000 ton ball that's about to drop on us because of wastewater. And it's not necessarily, this is very hard for me to say. It's not necessarily all Mayor Littlefield's fault. It goes a lot further back than that. Okay? It goes further back than that. It goes to government that wasn't planning properly. There's a lot of great things that can be done. I love energy savings. I did it for a lot of years. I started that industry in California, and I'm so glad not to be back there. Okay, I think there's one last slide, and then, you have something else you wanted me to say? What? Oh, what to do? Everybody run around like this. Okay. If we value the freedoms of our founders and Constitution that they gave us, and this is what we fight for, that each one of us must fight. This is an infringement. Not your office, but what your office represents upon our God-granted rights. We need to throw out ICLEI. And you need to throw out the Chattanooga Climate Action Plan, which you're talking about, and we need to replace it with one that's modeled after the proven false premises of CO2 climate change. Get rid of that because it's BS. It is absolute bull.
Yes.
I take my time to study it. I read both sides of it. We're deniers. No. We look at truth. Science is not about consensus. Einstein once said, and I'm just going to kind of paraphrase this quote because I don't have it exactly. It's not about the 1,000 experiments I did that proved this right. It's about the one experiment that proved it wrong. And when they're proven wrong, and their models are proven wrong, no, we'll just plug in different numbers. We're just going to say, you know what? And this actually is a true statement. IPCC in the year 2000 said in the year 2010, 50 million people that live on these islands will be flooded and gone. Here's the truth. The islands actually grew in population. They took it off the website, and now they say in 2020, 50 million people on these islands will be gone. That's what we face. That's why we know they're lying. We don't want a dirty environment. We love the fact that Chattanooga has cleaned up its act. We love a clean environment. We just don't want to be ruled by people that know better than us. We want to actually be involved. Okay.
They think they know better.
Oh, think they know better.
You said they
Yeah,
know
think
better.
they well, they got there. They must know something. You know what? They inherited it. All right. That's it for me. Thank you very much.